All right. Well, hello and happy Friday. Welcome to another
No.
edition of Success Principles. Today, in case you guys weren't aware, is going to be a great day. It's been a part of my morning affirmations and kind of a term that I use to set my intentions for the day for a little while now. And I'm going to say it again. Today is going to be a great day. Today is going to be a great day. And I just find that sometimes our subconscious mind just needs a little nudge sometimes. You know what I mean? That little reminder that, hey, point us in the right direction and remind us that today is going to be a great day. Well, I'm looking forward to today's conversation. So is this little guy, too. Pretty cute. But today we're going to get into desire, which Napoleon Hill says is the starting point of all achievement. Okay. But before we do that, time to see who did their homework last week, huh? Time to see who did their homework. I see a couple people bailing on the call already. Yeah, Janelle just turns her camera off. Yeah, Brett's like, I'm out of here. Well, as I mentioned, I was going to give you guys fair warning that I was curious to see what resonated with you guys or what jumped out at you from that reading that I had shared. You guys are aware I shared excuse me, what was the reading again last week? Remind me.
Uh,
Definiteness of Purpose. That's right.
yeah.
Definiteness of Purpose. Yeah, by Napoleon Hill. That's right. So, what was something that jumped out at you guys from the reading? Who would like to go first? Melissa,
Sure, I'll go first.
right on.
Um, Hi everybody. Um, for me, reading through this, because I'm fairly new to working with you and all of, this stuff, Napoleon Hill. So reading this, what stood out to me and what I appreciated from it was not only did it really explain to me that having that end purpose and that end goal is critical to reaching my goal, knowing what it is. But for me, it kind of took away some of the anxieties and fears around reaching those goals because having a very clear, concise process to get to those goals was, I think, in a whole that stood out for me because it made me feel a little bit more confident. And like I said, okay, these are the steps that I have to take. Once I create that end goal, now here are the steps that I take to get there. It wasn't create this end goal and then that was it. It kind of said, here's a process in order to get to those end goals. So for me, it removed anxiety
Mm.
around the process.
So it alleviated a little bit of that anxiety for you and allowed you to start to see like the end goal, but also the process to help you get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. Awesome, Melissa. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anything else jump out at anybody specifically?
I do like how it is kind of a step by step, like what the explains what the definite of purpose does for you. And the part about faith and jumped out at me is that it opens your mind to faith, makes your mind positive, frees it from doubt and discouragement, indecision, and procrastination. But I like, everything just flows better when you have a definite of purpose.
When you have a clear destination in
Yeah,
mind.
like because before my destination wasn't as clear like a year ago, and reading this was just like gibberish to me. And now it's starting to make sense, like the step by step and what it will do for you because I've already seen some of the stuff that it does for you.
You've seen some of that already in action.
Yeah.
Yeah, just having kind of clarity around a goal
Yeah,
or
and
a
just
purpose.
how things are attracting to it and right and different decision making and stuff. It's easier to make decisions and all that.
Beautiful. Yeah, easier to make decisions.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks, Thomas. Anybody else have anything different that jumped out at them from the reading?
What I liked was,
Oh, go, James.
oh, where are you, Janelle? I don't even see you.
Let's go Jamie and then Janelle.
Okay. What I liked is there's no scarcity of opportunity, only a shortage of imagination.
Right.
So it starts with a clear, concise picture of what you seek, and then that picture grows into an obsession. And I feel that because there is a goal that I'm leaning towards, but I'm not obsessed about it. So I'm not, really taking the action. So I feel like that obsession, like I am with my pottery, like I'm creating the plan and budgeting my time and taking the action to go forward with all the steps in creating that plan. So I think that a clear picture, like very specific picture that grows into obsession.
Love it. Yeah, right on. And that actually relates very closely to what we're going to be discussing today. So that's perfect. But thanks, Jamie. And Janelle, there was something that jumped out at you too?
Just about making decisions quickly and firmly.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, just like for a long time, I just hadn't made a decision. I had like ideas of what would be nice if I could do this one day, but I didn't actually make a decision. So I didn't take any actionable steps. So I don't know if I really feel like the obsession, but I feel like once I've made a decision, then I start taking those actions and go towards it because I've like officially decided.
Then it's official. Game on.
Yeah.
Right on. I like that. Yeah. Thanks, Janelle. Tamara.
Okay, well, a lot of it jumped out at me. But some of the bigger things were, the decisions. And then I also really liked, when you listen to a rap song and they're like, I started from nothing and, bottom, now I'm here or whatever. I feel like a lot of people that I went to high school with that were goofy and just whatever, didn't pay attention, got shitty grades, they're really successful now. Like John Kinloch. Right?
Right.
He's like a very wealthy realtor. And I'm like, I could not have pictured that, but it's like, they said you don't have to be the smartest person at Oxford. You just need that drive. And so having like the decision and writing it down, and then having that determination for success. And that's all you need. You don't need to be like the most brilliant person, which is a huge thing for me because I had to work really hard to get good grades. So I always felt like, well, I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't know enough. And now I got this confidence of I know more than enough to do a lot of things. The other thing that I thought was really funny was, you will not succeed if you cannot convince other people to cooperate with you. So now I'm going to learn how to get Dave to cooperate with me on moving.
I love it. Right on.
I went to Dropbox this morning to show him the video of us, but it wasn't on there. So you're going to have to upload it. So
okay. Okay, for sure.
Oh, this is the week before, this was before. So yeah. So I need to, I was like, I think I'm going to make you a PowerPoint. And he laughed at me, but I was like, no, you're going to get a PowerPoint.
That's amazing. I love it. Both of those are correct. Both of those things that you had shared, the fact that a lot of times that's one of the biggest things that I hear holding people back is they think that they need more education, or that they're not smart enough, or that they're not good enough to even start, and that idea or that belief sometimes holds people back and stops them from even trying in a lot of cases, and to the other point there, the truth is that nobody becomes successful on their own. Nobody. They get support and they get advice, they get guidance from their environment and the people around them. But also all of the success and all of the wealth, all of the money that you accumulate comes through people. And so it's important for you to be able to understand psychology, sales, what motivates people to take action. I mean, people talk about like, do what you love, and that's true. It's like, you know, do what you love, but also understand what makes people tick. And the more that you can understand what makes people tick, the more that you can entice them to cooperate with you. You know, and yeah, so that, I mean, that's a lot of truth to that statement too, Tamara. Yeah.
My PowerPoint will be like mainly focused on a really big shop where Dave can put cars and toys.
Right, there you go. Yeah. Sold.
I'll be like on board, so yeah.
That's right. I love it. That's awesome, guys. Well, I just love that essay. I mean, that essay had me right out of the gates with the very first line. It says that your progress towards success begins with a fundamental question. Where are you going? Yeah, that's right, Melissa. It's like right out of the gates. You know, it had me. And I think that for a lot of times, we think that that should be an easy question to answer. You know, what do you want? Or what's your goal? But the truth is that actually answering that question can be super hard, can't it? Sometimes admitting to ourselves what we would really love to have can be really tough. You know, I've shared this before, but Mark Twain once famously said, he said, I can show anybody how to achieve anything that they want. The only problem is I can't find anybody who knows what they want. You know, and I think that that was written back in the 1800s. And sometimes I think that not a lot has changed. But the importance of having a clearly defined goal, of having very specific idea where you're going. You know, they say that vague goals produce vague results. Most people don't have very clear goals. If you guys don't believe me, make it a little challenge, make it a little game of it this week or this weekend. Ask 5 people, what's your goal? And I promise you, like we could make a bet. I promise you that you're going to get some weird looks. You might get some people who ramble on about things that they would like or want or wish for or hope for. But I bet you there's very few people that you talk to that have a very clearly defined specific goal. I often say that if you can't tell me your goal in 30 seconds or less, you don't have a goal. You know, but there were a lot of things in this essay that jumped out at me. You know, the alertness to opportunity that Thomas was talking about there. And, you know, it's funny because once you clearly define a goal in your mind, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to notice that you're going to start to attract ideas, opportunities, conversations, and people to help you fulfill that goal. It's going to alert your mind to the opportunities that are out there. There's a little part of your brain called your reticular activating system, your RAS. And your reticular activating system is the part of your brain that alerts you to information or to things that are related to your goal. So Melissa and I were talking the other day, and I shared this idea with her about affirmations. She messaged me the other day and she said, you know, all of a sudden I'm seeing affirmation stuff everywhere. You know, and that's the truth. The truth is that those videos and those comments and those quotes and things like that were probably always there, but now it's alerting her attention to it. You know, Anna and I were just having a conversation the other day about wanting to open another door, like another Airbnb location. And we started having a conversation about how in the town that we're living in, we're getting into like prime Airbnb time right now with summertime and things like that. And wouldn't you know, I was out taking the garbage out the other day, and I have a conversation with my neighbor across the street, and I started asking him about the renter that they had move in. And he says, oh no, the renter moved out, their relationship fell apart, and he moved back to Ontario. And I was like, oh, interesting. I said, well, what are you going to do? You're going to do like find another long-term renter, Airbnb? And he's like, oh yeah, it'd be nice, it would be great to have somebody in there, but I don't want to manage this place. We got young kids, who's got time for that? Ding. My mind goes off right away. I'm thinking, well, here's an opportunity. So me and Anna are talking about managing a property across the street now. But this is exactly why it's important to review and remind yourself of your goals on a daily basis. To have them written down, to have them up on the wall, to look at them, to think about them, to engage with them on an ongoing basis, because that's what it's going to do. It's going to prime your brain for those opportunities. Otherwise, if you're not thinking about it, it's going to blend into the background. You know what I mean? So you want to be thinking about those goals regularly, writing them down, reading them out loud, doing your affirmations. It focuses the mind. The other thing that jumped out at me too from this essay was, like what Thomas had said, was it makes decision-making that much easier. When you have a clear destination and an idea of where you're going and what you want, all of a sudden your decisions become a little bit clearer, don't they? At every turn and every fork in the road, at every opportunity, we have an infinite number of things that we could do in a day, don't we? Infinite. We have an infinite number of options and choices. And at every turn, at every given opportunity, we could be holding up that decision and asking ourselves, well, does this help me get to where I want to go? And if it's yes, well, then that becomes that much clearer. Well, I have to do it. And if it's no, well, then that's an easy choice. A mentor of mine, Trevor Moawad, says that choice is an illusion. And when you're really clear about what you want, you actually have very few choices that are really going to help you get there. But he says that nobody can become successful without first knowing what he or she wants. That's the first step. Nobody can become successful without first knowing what he or she wants. But let me ask you, don't people want a lot of things? People want all kinds of things, don't they? Yeah, 100%. So, Napoleon Hill talks about the importance of having a burning desire. A burning desire. Now, what's the difference between a want and a desire? What's the difference between a want and a desire? Melissa?
I think taking action is the difference between a want and a desire.
Okay.
A want is something that you can say out loud. But I think that sometimes a desire is something that you usually would maybe take more action towards.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because you want this, you want this, you want that. But if you have a burning desire for something, you take actionable steps towards achieving it.
Okay. So desires are the things that you're actually acting on.
Yeah.
Okay, right on.
I would believe that. Yep.
I like that. That's good. Anybody else? Well, what's your idea? What's the difference between a want and a desire?
I want a lot of things, but I'm not willing to go do anything about it. I want $1 million, but I want a mansion, I want to cook. I mean, I want a lot of things. Doesn't mean that I want it enough to go out and get it.
Right. Okay. So you want a lot of things, but you don't want to always sacrifice the things that are required in order to get it. Okay.
I would have it already if that was the case. It would be a desire and not a want.
Right. Well, there's some honesty for you. Hey, I like it. Yeah.
Okay, here's one. Desire is an emotional want infused with a burning desire.
Right. Say that again, Thomas.
Desire is an emotionalized want infused with a burning desire.
Desire is an emotionalized want. Thomas is cheating. He's looking back at the notes from a conversation we had a little while ago, but that's okay. This was open book test anyway, so it's all good, Thomas. But Thomas is right. You know, and here's the thing. We talk about the excuse my drawing here. I do this a little bit differently today. We talk about the difference between wants and desires. Okay. Well, wants are up here in your conscious mind. They reside in your conscious mind. And people want all kinds of things. Okay. And, you know, and sometimes they're in conflict with one another, aren't they? You know, I want to be fit and healthy and strong, but I also want to eat whatever I want and chill out on the couch and watch Netflix. You know, I want to grow and I want to learn, but I also want to stay in my comfort zone. You know, I'd like to, you know, earn a lot of money, but like Janelle's saying, but I don't want to actually do the things that would require me to earn that money. I don't want a cold call. Who wants to do that? No, thank you. Okay. Our conscious thinking minds are always in a continuous state of want. That's all the conscious thinking mind does. Okay. The conscious mind, all it does is want. Right now, you might want a cup of coffee. Right now, you might want a snack. Right now, parts of you guys might want to, you know, head outside and enjoy some fresh air, things like that. Okay. The difference between a want and a desire, like Thomas was saying, is that desire is an emotionalized want. Remember, your subconscious mind is your emotional mind. Okay, your subconscious mind is your feeling mind. Most people, they don't act based on their logical mind. Most people act based on their emotions. Most people allow how they're feeling in the moment to determine the actions that they're taking. Okay. A lot of times people want a lot of things, you know, people want to be healthy, people want to be fit, people want to earn a lot of money, but it's not something that they truly desire. It's not something that's emotionalized. Okay. People allow their subconscious mind and their desires to control their behavior, like Melissa was saying. Okay. If you're not sure what you desire, take a look around at your results. That'll tell you. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you can learn a lot about yourself based on the things in your environment. For instance, you know, I went over to a friend's house here the other day, and I got a neighbor. He's a real nice guy. I like him, and we get along. He's one of my better friends in the neighborhood, but we have very different, maybe I'd call it standards. And I walked into this guy's house and there's stuff everywhere. His place was a disaster zone. Okay. And I just, you know, I thought to myself, well, you know, this guy obviously doesn't prioritize, you know, order or cleanliness. You know, every time we get together, he tells me how he'd like to lose weight. You know, there again, it's another want. But the guy's put on about 20 pounds since I met him 2 years ago. You know, and he likes to say that it's because of the kids and stuff like that. Well, maybe that's true, but it tells me that actually he wants to lose weight, but what he desires is something different. Maybe it's family time, or maybe it's comfort. The kitchen in his in his house was stacked almost floor to ceiling with old pizza boxes. And I thought, well, this tells me that this guy prioritizes convenience food more than home cooking. You know, now you can learn a lot about yourself based on some of the things that you desire too, based on your environment. Now, I'm not sharing this to you guys with you guys to, you know, judge him at all. It's not about judgment. It's about observing. And you guys could do that with yourself too. You know, maybe ask yourself, like, what am I prioritizing? If you got a pen and paper handy, even just write this question down for you. Give yourself some time to ponder this. What am I prioritizing? Or another question you might want to ask is, what am I tolerating from myself? What am I tolerating? Or maybe worth asking yourself, where am I settling? And you'll learn a lot about yourself by observing the kinds of things that you're willing to tolerate. You know, and like I said, this isn't about judgment. This is just about getting curious. You know? And like I walked into that house, I would never, ever, ever allow my place to get that way. That I just would not tolerate that. It would drive me crazy. I couldn't do it. I'm a little bit like Tamara in the sense that like I need my house kind of in an orderly state. Just feels so much better, you know? But I want to remind you guys something. And if you guys have a pen, maybe write this part down. You don't always get what you want, but you always get what you desire. You don't always get what you want, but you always get what you desire. And the reason is because all desires move into form. All desires move into form. Listen, guys, your guys' subconscious mind controls about 95 to 98% of what we do. Okay? But I'll tell you guys, your paradigm is also a desire. Your paradigm is also a desire. And one of the strongest forces of human nature is this desire to kind of remain consistent with who we believe ourselves to be, right? And a large part of our paradigm is our self-image and our ideas of who we are and what's acceptable and what we deserve and what we're worthy of, what we're capable of. And that's a strong, powerful force. Your paradigm is also a desire. Napoleon Hill uses the term hypnotic rhythm. Hypnotic rhythm. Let me ask you, what do you guys think that term means? Hypnotic rhythm. Anybody read Think and Grow Rich? Any guesses?
It's like that subconscious speech you have running around your head all the time.
Sorry, Brett, can you say that one more time?
It's like that subconscious speech or like a mantra you have rolling around in your head all the time.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Thomas? Any guesses?
Well, it's just kind of like hypnotizing you into a rhythm that's not necessarily good for you most of the time, but like it can be good for you if you're in the right rhythm, I guess. But
Right. Okay.
It's like-
So it could be good for you.
yeah,
Okay, cool. I like that.
Maybe on the not so good side, it would be like another term for complacency.
Right. Another term for complacency. Sure. Yeah. You know, here's the thing is we've talked about how our minds are like a supercomputer and they're programmed from a very young age. And we don't really realize to what extent that programming has control over us. But our hypnotic rhythm is the fact is that, you know, that hypnotic rhythm is we're all kind of in somewhat of a habit nature. We all have a rhythm of how we live, habits that we repeat. patterns of behavior that cycle over and over and over again. You guys notice that? Yeah. It's our habit nature. It's our paradigm. It's that little thermostat setting. You know, it's the patterns of thinking and the patterns of behavior that control our life. And the truth is that anytime we try to push past or get out of that hypnotic rhythm, okay, the first thing that's usually met with us or meets us there is fear or discomfort, maybe tightness. Doesn't feel very good. There's resistance to that feeling. So you know what most people do in response to that? They retreat. They pull back. They drift back to their safety zone, back to their comfort zone. Most people, if you look around, most people seek out situations that make them feel comfortable. In fact, most people seek out relationships that make them feel comfortable. You know? One of the primary reasons that I do things intentionally, like saunas or cold plunges or workouts or public speaking or hiring mentors and coaches of my own, is because I know that when I intentionally subject myself to doing hard things that push me out of my comfort zone, that when I have to do them in order to achieve my goals, it makes it that much easier. You know what I mean? Just yesterday, I was down at the ocean. I went for a cold plunge, not because I wanted to, but because I feel like that's one of the ways that I can start to regain control over my mind. When push comes to shove, I'll say, who's in control here? My paradigm or me? David Goggins talks about how he does it to callous the mind, toughen himself up mentally. Jocko Willink calls it mind control. And if you're not willing or able to take control of your mind, well, guess what? Your mind will control you. And if you allow your mind to control you, well, I'll just tell you right now, you're fucked. Your mind will just suck you back in. So looking for opportunities to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, to do that willingly, so that when the opportunity arises or when the situation demands it, we're a little bit more used to it. You know, they say that get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You guys ever hear that before? Some kind of popular little memes that are circulating around on Pinterest and shit like that. That's what they're talking about. Get comfortable with being comfortable. You know, most people will wait until a catastrophe happens before they're willing to move out of their comfort zone. Most people will wait until, remember I've said that there's only two ways that you can really change your paradigm. And the first is with strong emotional impact. Something real negative coming. It's the outside world imposing itself on you. Sometimes that can take the form of like a near-death experience. Sometimes it could take the form of like a health scare. But usually it's some form of a tragedy or a catastrophe. Most people won't willingly subject themselves to that kind of thing because it does feel uncomfortable. There is resistance, there is fear, there is discomfort. But you know, Napoleon Hill here, he had a line, he says, all who succeed in life get off to a bad start. He says, and they pass through many heartbreaking struggles before they arrive. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually come at the moment of some crisis through which they are introduced to their other selves. Introduced to their other selves. What does he mean by other selves? What other self? What the heck is he talking about, other self? I'm going to read this one more time. All who succeed in life get off to a bad start and pass through many heartbreaking struggles before they arrive. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually come at the moment of some crisis through which they are introduced to their other selves. So what does he mean by other selves? What do you think?
Like your emotional side or your intuition?
Your emotional side or your intuition? Okay. Melissa?
Your subconscious self.
Your subconscious self? Okay. Anybody else?
Part of you that's tapped into like the infinite intelligence, kind of more spiritual, I guess.
Okay. Part of you that's tapped into something larger.
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody else? You know, what's really interesting is we see this all the time in Disney movies, media in general, but Disney particularly. There's a little thing called The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell. And it's an archetypical kind of storyline you see over and over again in Disney. The Lion King is a great example, you know, where what happens with Simba? Well, Mufasa is involved in a real serious accident and dies. And little Simba has to go out into the unknown. Well, what happens while he's out there? Well, he discovers his true greatness, doesn't he? He discovers his strengths. He discovers he's more powerful than he realizes. He learns that he's the king, doesn't he? What about Luke Skywalker? What happens to Luke Skywalker before, you know, becomes like a Jedi master? His aunt and uncle die, don't they? And he's forced to go on this journey of self-discovery. He doesn't think that he's capable. He doesn't think that he's ready. But it's through those experiences, it's through that struggle. Yeah, Brett says he kisses his sister. Yeah, he did do that too. But it's through that struggle that he builds the resilience, the confidence, the strength, and the skill set to return as a Jedi Master, right? You see this in all sorts of films like Mulan, right? You see this in Aladdin, okay? You see this in one of my personal favorites, Moana, right? The hero's journey. That's our other self, the part of us that we didn't realize that we had access to. That's the next level, okay? Yeah, Janelle says like Frozen, going out into the unknown. Exactly. You know, now I heard an analogy the other day that I thought was really powerful. And I heard that, you know, as an egg is beginning to hatch, you know, if somebody comes along and they start to crack that egg open to help this little bird out, well, guess what? That bird doesn't survive. Same goes for the butterfly inside the cocoon. It's the process of that struggle and trying to work its way out of the shell or out of the cocoon that actually strengthens it for life, prepares it for life. Back in the 1990s, remember there was a movie that was called Biodome, Pauly Shore. Yeah, Pauly Shore. I wonder whatever happened to that guy. Well, Pauly Shore in this movie was based on a real actual experiment where the scientists in the desert, they created a biodome. And they noticed something really interesting, that once the trees got to a certain height, all the trees started to fall over. All of them. and they couldn't understand why. And it turns out that the wind is actually what helps strengthen the trunk of the tree to help it grow to its full potential. And I find that oftentimes people are trying to avoid the struggle, trying to avoid the challenge that's actually necessary to prepare us for the life that we're supposed to live.
I experienced that firsthand with my husband. 6 months after I met him, he was diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
And so I knew who he was before he had cancer because I knew him for 6 months. I didn't know him that well, but I knew him well enough. And to watch him go through that journey of treatment and then come out on the other side okay, it really, you can see how something so scary and something that can truly kill you, and you've overcome that, it gives you a sense of confidence that you will never understand unless you go through something like that, something very, very challenging and hard and scary, and and you just do it. And so I watched him go from a man who just did the 9 to 5 job, didn't really ask for anything, didn't really put in much effort, to somebody who has now created a company. Then people seen this happening and then they paid him way more to come do that within their company. To like, I've just watched him do all the things that he probably always wanted to do, but never had the courage to do it. And now he's just like, his mind is so different and open, and he just does things and he's not scared. And he's only gained from that experience. So it's kind of neat to watch that unfold with him now.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Are you guys listening to that? That is so powerful.
Yeah. And so he's my inspiration. He's my inspiration to do what I know I want to do and have fear. And, although the minute he got diagnosed with cancer, I did start school for health coaching. Like the next day I signed up. I didn't even think about it, but I knew that it's something I wanted to do. And then I got stuck after. Then I got stuck, right? So yeah, it's interesting.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I imagine, as you're describing this experience in your husband, I imagine he's forged in fire.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to read this line again here where he says that the turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually comes at the moment of some crisis through which they are introduced to their other selves. You'll learn a lot about yourself in a situation like that.
Yeah.
You probably develop a determination, discipline, urgency. If you listen to what Melissa said, he's not afraid anymore. He's taking more action. It's unreal. Most people, aren't willing to make those kinds of changes on their own. It's too damn hard. Who would want to subject themselves to something like that? So, the funny thing is the universe has this way of kind of like pushing us out of the nest sometimes, helping us find our other gear. The universe has a way of wanting to show us just how fucking tough we are. That's the truth. Aside from tragedy, aside from a near-death experience, aside from some strong emotional impact, the only other thing that's really going to create change or get you out of your hypnotic rhythm is a goal. Now get this, it's got to be a goal that is worth the sacrifice. It's got to be a dream that's big enough, worth making a change for. It's got to be worth the sacrifice, like Janelle was saying, giving up some of the things that you got to do. Most people, when they set a goal, they think about all the things they need to sacrifice or all the things that they need to give up. the time, the money, some of their favorite foods, maybe, you know, some of the things that the effort that will be required in order for them to achieve their goal. But very few people focus on what they're going to receive in return for that sacrifice. And the reason is because you always know what you have to give up. But you can't ever quite fully appreciate what you have to gain in response or in return. How could you? You can't know until you've achieved it. Like, if you listen to what Melissa's saying, Chad found that other gear, didn't he? Probably had to dig deep and discovered something about himself that he had no idea was even there. Am I right? Yeah, 100%. You know, I remember looking back to, you know, we talk about sacrifices and we talk about, you know, giving up things in order to achieve our goals. You know, one of the things that I had to give up was alcohol, right? Now, I knew what I had to sacrifice. I knew what I was giving up. And I'll tell you, I say this all the time, that I love drinking, but drinking never loved me back. You know, I love the taste, the flavor. I love the sound of it going into a glass. I like the rush and the buzz and all of that. Yeah, Brett's smiling. So does he. Hey? But here's the thing. I never fully appreciated the energy, the clarity, the peace of mind, the acceptance, all of the things that were waiting for me on the other side of sobriety. I couldn't possibly know that because I had never experienced it before. Jamie, you recently changed some of your exercise and nutrition habits, am I right? Yeah. And what were some of the things that you had to give up as part of like some of those nutritional changes?
Basically all the good things.
All the good things. Like what?
All-
What are some of the things?
Well, all the things that make you feel comfortable. So comfort food, laying on the couch. You needed to gain discipline, mostly. So yeah, I was doing keto for a long time. So that's like all carbs, all the comfort food.
Okay. And sugar and carbs mostly, eh?
Mhm.
And when you were doing keto, did you discover more energy?
A lot.
A lot more energy?
Yeah.
What about like mental clarity? Did you have more like mental clarity?
Yes, absolutely. Sharp focus.
Sharp focus.
Yeah.
What about confidence?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely, because everything kind of just came together, you know, with a better eating. You're putting food in your body that, you know, everything is gonna love about it, like your mind and your body. So
Mind and
everything,
body.
yeah, everything changes.
Right. Yeah. Everything changes. Cool. You know, I think that so oftentimes when people set a goal, we think about and we get fixated on all the things that we need to give up in order to achieve it. And we fail to fully appreciate what we stand to gain. I know that when I set my goal to be able to work remotely, to work from anywhere, I knew that I was going to have to give up the business that I currently had. I couldn't do both. How do you own a brick and mortar business and still be able to work remotely? How do I own a business in Saskatoon and move to Vancouver Island? You know, but I could not. I knew what I had to give up, but I couldn't even fully appreciate the joy that I'd get from being able to walk my kids to school every day. To have a coffee date with my wife in the middle of the afternoon. That stuff just never happened before. You know, was there resistance there? For sure. Was there discomfort? 100%. Fear? Oh, fuck. Let me tell you, there was fear, all right. You know, Napoleon Hill talks about the importance of burning the bridges. Sorry, burning the boats. I always say burn boats, not bridges. Don't you can go out, but you don't have to flip everybody off on the way out the door. You know what I mean? But here he talks about the importance of burning the boats. Okay, and if you guys saw the Think and Grow Rich movie, or you guys have read the book yourself, this story will sound familiar. But a long while ago, a great warrior loaded his soldiers onto a boat, sailed to the enemy's country, unloaded the soldiers and equipment, and then gave orders to burn the ships. He was addressing his men before the first battle, and he said, "You see the boats going up in smoke? That means we cannot leave these shores unless we win. We have no choice. We win or we perish." And they won. He says, every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all sources of retreat. I remember a conversation a number of years ago when I was first starting my company, Fit. I owned this personal training and wellness center called Fit Training and Wellness. And we were in the process of setting everything up, and we were just about to open. And I gave my landlord at the time a tour of the place. He had an office that was right next door, and he popped in one day and was showing him around. And he asked me a question, and I'll never forget this. He looked at me and he said, "So what happens if this doesn't work out?" And the question baffled me. Like, it really did. I didn't have a response for him other than it has to. Like, there is no choice here. Like, at the time, my wife was pregnant with our oldest child. Okay, we were expecting our first kid, and we had just taken our entire life savings, which it was only about 30 grand at the time, but we took everything that we had and invested it into opening this business. And he asked me, "What happens if this doesn't work?" It's going to. It must. I burned the boats. There is no going back. You know? For me, there was that sense of urgency. There was that passion, that burning desire. You know, Edwin C. Barnes, he talks about how, he spent every last penny that he had. He hopped onto that train and he went off to Orange County or whatever it was to be Thomas Edison's partner. He actually worked for 5 years with Thomas Edison before he had an opportunity to become his partner. I just think about the determination, the discipline, the decision-making skills that requires. Now I want you to ask yourself, am I really going all in on my dream? Am I really going all in? Maybe ask yourself, am I willing to go all in on my dream? Am I willing to do that? Really? I heard Jamie mention the word obsession. You know, and you look at some of the most successful people, and I think that word would probably describe a lot of them, obsessed. Because sometimes I think that you need to be obsessed in order to succeed at your dream. You know, most people these days, they seem to be dabblers. You know, I often say that, excitement is common, eagerness is common, but endurance is rare. It's easy to be excited about a goal for a couple weeks, isn't it? It's easy to be excited about the thought of getting in shape for a couple weeks. Come January 15th, though, people are like, "Fuck, I gotta do this again? I just worked out yesterday." You know? Eagerness is common, endurance is rare. Most people are dabblers. You need to be obsessed about your goal. You need to eat, sleep, and breathe it. Otherwise, what happens is the first sign of like obstacle, the first sign of trouble, the first little speed bump, and it's like, whoop, right back to our hypnotic rhythm, right back to our paradigm, right back to our safety zone, right back to our comfort zone, right back to what we know we've been doing for the last however long. What we need to be doing is stoking that fire of desire. Napoleon Hill talks about how desire is like a flame. And with a small amount of fire, you get a small amount of heat. But with a big amount of fire, you get a big amount of heat, right? Well, it's the same with desire. A small amount of desire, you get a small amount of results. But a big amount of desire, look out. So how do you stoke that fire of desire? Well, I suggest we focus on the rewards, focus on the things that we have to gain, the benefit, focus on the goal. Most people get fixated on the thing that they have to give up, the time that it's going to take, the cost of what it's going to be. They focus on what they have to sacrifice. Put your energy and your attention on what you want. There's a little principle, a psychological principle called Hebb's Law. And Hebb's Law states that thoughts that fire together wire together. And if you guys haven't considered, if you guys haven't done this, I'd encourage you to consider writing a list of about 30 reasons why it's important for you to achieve your goal. 30 benefits that you will gain from successfully achieving your goal. What's the benefit? What's the reward? Why am I doing this? They say that a person can endure almost any how with a strong enough why. If you've got a strong enough reason why that's pulling you through the mud, pulling you through the crap, you'll persist. So my challenge to you guys is to write a list of about, let's see if you can come up with 30 strong reasons why it's important for you to achieve your goal. Okay, but don't just write a list. This isn't meant to be an intellectual exercise. This is meant to get emotionally involved in it. Okay, get emotionally involved in it. Allow yourself to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Like Thomas, you know, how amazing would that be, Thomas, to, you know, have a sound bath for a room full of people, like 30 people, and just sitting there and working your instruments and watching the, you know, the sound wash over these people. Would that be pretty cool for you or what?
Yeah, I'd be all right. I'd
That'd
probably,
be all right.
I think I'd rather do it like, my vision of that is like doing it outdoors somewhere, like in nature.
Okay, doing it outdoors and in nature somewhere. Cool. I love that. Tamara, how nice would that feel for you to like wake up in the morning, stretch your arms, grab a coffee, and go sit out on the back porch on your acreage and just look out over like, you know, your old property?
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Would it be nice? Yeah. You feel like it'd be like relaxing to sit there, listen to the birds chirping and watch the sunrise. You got a cup of coffee and you and Dave kind of sitting outside and like, you know, enjoying the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Right on.
Yeah.
You know, the universe operates and responds to what you think and what you feel. Okay, and I want you guys to write this down, that you don't get what you want, you get what you are. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. And so as you guys do this exercise, don't make it a little intellectual exercise where you just write out a list of reasons why, because all of that's just going to get stuck in your intellect. I want you to review this list regularly and allow yourself to really feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would that really feel like to be able to wake up and have your own schedule, on your own clock, your own, be in control of your time. How nice would that be for you guys to make the money to take your family to Disney World? Can you listen? Can you hear your kids like laughing and the enjoyment in their voices right now? Allow yourself to get emotionally involved in the feeling and the wish fulfilled. Start to bring a little piece of that future dream into the present moment. Hebb's Law, okay? Thoughts that fire together, wire together. It's almost like a little domino effect. The more ideas and the more emotionally invested we get in the rewards of our goal, every time we think about it, it's like tick, 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 tick. It brings us back to the feeling of all of these other things that we have to gain from that. It's going to be fuel for that fire of desire. Okay. You guys up for doing a little exercise? Beautiful. And I think too that, when it comes to the challenges, when it comes to the struggles, we need to realize that, it's in that struggle that we develop our character, develop our strengths, develop our skill, develop that self-confidence, that self-assuredness that we might not otherwise have an opportunity to experience. I used to run into this all the time at the gym where, I had this one woman who used to say to me all the time, I hate exercise. I hate eating right. It's like, what do you mean you hate exercise? This is the tool. This is the thing that's going to help you get what you want. You should love this. You should love exercise. You should be so grateful that you get to do that. Because it's the exercise that's going to help you develop that fit, strong, healthy physique that you're looking for. Am I right? Now, it's easier to think of that in terms of fitness. It's a little bit harder when our world seems to be falling apart, or when the sky is falling and we're facing obstacles and challenges in relation to our goals. But there's a phrase that I've heard before, and I forget who says this. This will be the last thing, and I'll let you guys run. It says that the circumstances don't make the man. The circumstances reveal the man. What does that mean? Well, to me, that means that the circumstances help reveal our character. Sometimes even to ourselves. We'll learn a lot about ourselves in those kinds of circumstances and situations. And if we persist, like Melissa's saying, you're going to be forged in fire. The strength that you would not have known otherwise. All right, guys. Well, good luck with this Hebb's Law list of 30. Shoot for 30. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and a wonderful weekend ahead. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon. Thanks. Take care.